Srila Prabhupada Ki. 22nd Avenue, where the Hare Krishna movement began. Ki. Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Really happy about this assembly of devotees. I hope you have a nice time associating with one another and also getting the association of His Holiness Brahmapada Swami. Really happy that Maharaj came today. I haven't seen Maharaj here for a long time, and ultimately Krishna's arrangement is mysterious, and I'm happy for his arrangement today. So many of you know Maharaj because that's why I see some of you here today. Who's here? Anyone here for the first time? Okay, so we have a couple. One, you're familiar with Hare Krishna movement, and have you been to a Hare Krishna program before? No, okay. What's your name?
Penny.
Penny. Okay, thanks. My name's Atma. I'm organizing this, and we. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. And we have different people, different persons learned in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and which this Hare Krishna movement is based on. We give a class here each Saturday, and so today it's a special guest that we have, Romapad Swami. Romapad Swami, many of you know, has been a disciple of Srila Prabhupada for now going on into the 6th decade, and he's follows Srila Prabhupada's teachings, especially the way that Maharaj likes to do so is by spreading Krishna consciousness, encouraging others to spread Krishna consciousness, and explaining and following himself how the most important, paramount to being able to do those things is to practice Krishna consciousness very carefully with dedication oneself. And so in the course of his spiritual career doing just that, Maharaj has been leading devotees, especially in New York and in many other locales like Chicago, Delhi, so many places, St. Louis, so many places in China, although that's not always talked about, all over the world. And but here, Maharaj has been in a managerial positions such as called the GBC, or also taking disciples as a service to Prabhupada to teach them so they can benefit from serving Srila Prabhupada too. So I think I won't say more than that, but for the schedule, we'll have our class where if you like to follow along with the topic of the class, as every week, what we do here is in this program we study the Bhagavad Gita verse by verse in order each week. So today we happen to be on the first verse of chapter 8 of the Bhagavad Gita. Some furniture has been moved around here in the course of the renovation project, so we don't have our book table now. But if you have a phone with you and you like to follow along through looking at your phone, the page is vedabase.io. Veda is spelled VEDA, and base like baseball. Vedabase.io, and there's a link there to various important books by Srila Prabhupada, including Bhagavad Gita, and from there chapter 8, and from there text 1. And if you're looking for it, like if you've not been to that page before, you can, Penny, if you want, you can ask for assistance from someone like him, because he can do everything. And you already found it. Fantastic. So go to chapter 8 and then scroll down to 8 and yeah. And then the first verse, click on that. There you go. Okay, so we'll have the class, and then after the class we have another kirtan, maybe per Maharaj's discretion, but sometimes that happens around 7ish. And then we'll have, I know several devotees brought nice vegetarian dinner that they prepared for the pleasure of Lord Krishna. So they brought prasadam, vegetarian dinner for all of us. So that will be at the end. So thanks a lot, and I'll hand this over to Maharaj.
Introduction. Okay.
Oh.
I can't see you all in the back. Can you see me? Yeah? Good. Okay. We'll begin with offering obeisances or pranam mantras to Srila Prabhupada. You can say along with me. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Dunyani Ashakare Chakarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Radha Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 8, text number 1. I think a good thing to do is the context of Bhagavad Gita, and then the sequence of the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and then we'll go to chapter 8. Now, many of you know all these things, but especially for newer guests, I'll do this quickly. Bhagavad Gita, here's the cover, is in the midst of a big epic history of greater India from 5,000 years ago history, and without going into details because the Mahabharata is very thick, the lineage of kings is enunciated, and then a certain period of time during Krishna's time, that period of time, the kings on this side and the kings on that side had a conflict, like who's going to rule the world. And there was a wish to not have a conflict, and attempts were made to make peaceful settlement, and the conclusion was no peaceful settlement, because one of the parties didn't want a peaceful settlement. So there was a war, and a war with rules, because that's the procedure at that time. And so there are two chief persons that are part of Bhagavad Gita, are the speaker, Krishna, and the person who's hearing from Krishna, Arjuna. And they're on a chariot, Krishna, without all the details. Krishna made a commitment that he wouldn't fight. And Arjuna said, no problem, let's just be together. All your armies can be with the other side, but let's be together, because they're dear friends. So Krishna became the chariot driver, and that's what the cover picture shows. Krishna is the chariot driver, and the chief protagonist, the chief warrior, is Arjuna. But before the battle, the chariot was drawn between the two armies, and the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to go through this 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita really fast. First chapter, Arjuna sees who's there and says, yikes. For this reason, that reason, the other reason, the other reason, the other reason, I can't go forward with this. I shall not fight. And he drops his weapons. And more conversation. He turns to Krishna, end of chapter 1. I don't know what's best for me to do. I don't know what my duty is in this circumstance. You please instruct me. So the mood shifts from friends to an instructor or guru, and the student is dear devotee Arjuna. And then there's another 5 chapters. So there's 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita total. 6 plus 6 plus 6 generally equals 18. So the first 6 are the introduction chapter and then systems of yoga. It doesn't teach yoga asanas, but it teaches principles. And without going into it too much, but just to give the picture, the context, Krishna's teaching Sankhya yoga, which is the study of matter and spirit, and that we belong to the category of spirit. We don't belong to the category of matter. And then to support that principle, then one has to have intelligence to guide the mind so you don't misidentify with matter. And therefore, another system of yoga is given, Buddhi yoga, yoga of intelligence. And then to facilitate intelligence, there's detachment from the fruits of work, karma yoga. Karma, everyone knows karma. And karma yoga is perform duties as they're to be done, but don't be attached to the fruits of those duties because they belong to someone else. Ultimately, they belong to the Supreme, surrendering the fruits of your work to the Supreme, karma yoga. When one becomes proficient in karma yoga, it leads to another yoga system, Gyan yoga. You get the picture, it's a yoga ladder. And then the meditational system. And then the conclusion of chapter 6 is the topmost of all the yoga systems is 2 things, bhakti, where the mind goes to the Supreme and the senses are engaged in service of the Supreme. So what the body does and what the mind does in devotion to the Supreme. And then there's the middle 6 chapters.